Hi, this is Jamie Spitali, and I'm doing my PowerPoint presentation on for Unit 7 presentation of community plan. And my community I've chosen is Effingham County, Georgia, specifically in Rincon, Rincon. So, a little bit about what's going on. Effingham County is in Georgia, and it's just north of Savannah. It consists of 6 cities: Rincon, Guyton, Springfield, Clio, and Meldrum and Eden. I have never heard of Clio and Meldrum and Eden, and I've lived here for almost 3 years. I have chosen Rincon as my community within Effingham County. It was incorporated August 3rd, 1917, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. It has approximately 10,111 residents living within Rincon. And I believe I read somewhere that Effingham County has roughly 60,000 total residents. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, is the second leading cause of death behind cardiovascular disease in Effingham County. There is also a direct correlation between education level and smoking, according to Gilman et al., 2008. I have all my references listed at the very end. So, as you will see during my presentation, that COPD, while it's the second leading cause of death behind cardiovascular disease in Effingham County, it's the fourth overall in the nation, which to me, stresses the utmost importance of this type of an outreach program in Rincon, Georgia, and Effingham County. But because due to the time constraints of the class, I was only really able to reach out to the residents in Rincon, Georgia. What is a community? As defined by Merriam-Webster, community is a unified body of people with common interest living in a particular area, which could be a town, a neighborhood, a city. It could be a church. It could just be whatever. I mean, there are so many different definitions of community, depending on where you are, what you're looking for, and your culture, etc. So during the windshield survey, I noticed that there were several general practitioners' offices and one urgent care and one local hospital, which claims to have a full service hospital. It is a level 4 trauma center. They say on their website that they have stroke and cardiac listed on their website as being able to care for such patients. I think that is a little misleading, as I do work at an ER in Savannah, and this hospital is constantly transferring patients down to us for a heart attack and for strokes as well. I think is what they're implying, or is they're implying that they're able to care for those, but without really telling the residents that they have to transfer them out because they don't have the appropriate labs to care for these type of patients. So within Effingham County, it appears that Rincon is the epicenter of the county, as it has most of the major chains located within it, as opposed to the other towns. There is one major freeway that comes through there, which is Georgia 21, which is actually heavily traveled on a regular daily basis. And also Rincon, it also appears to have everything you would need in town except like major shopping, like a mall, and some type of recreational stuff, like there are, like no water parks, no places to really go and just kind of hang out with your family. No, there aren't like any major parks where you can take your kids to and go do all that stuff. They have to drive anywhere from 15 minutes for the shopping to 45 minutes for the recreational venue type places. With like that being said, it's kind of nice living here because it's kind of a small town feel and it's still close to the bigger town of Savannah, where you can get everything you need. As I stated earlier, the leading cause of death in Effingham County is consistent with the leading cause of death, which is heart disease. So it's consistent with the U.S. Census Bureau as it is in Effingham County. There were 229 deaths reported where cardiovascular disease is to blame. The next leading cause of death is COPD. According to Harrow in 2017, COPD is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, less than 20% of Effingham County has a 4-year degree or better, while a little over 80% have completed only high school, which goes to show because there is a direct correlation between your education level and smoking. There have been multiple studies done on this. Community partners. Kroger's is a large chain grocery store, and they allow a number of community programs and/or groups set up outside to educate and to also raise money for whatever cause they may or may not have. Walmart is a national brand. It's probably an international brand as well. They are also another large store that here that will also do the same. Both stores were more than willing to allow us to set up outside, and they were so we could educate residents on the impact of smoking and the impact it has on health in the community. There are also many other partners that we could have reached out to, such as Publix Groceries, Lowe's. There is a Dollar General and a Hibbett Sporting Goods. These are all places that where community programs partner with. I have seen multiple. I've seen Girl Scouts outside. I have seen veteran programs outside these big stores and everything. Kroger. Well, this is the first place we contacted, and they were more than willing to allow us to post up outside their store and to try to educate the community on the negative impact of smoking. In fact, their manager was so excited, he asked us to come to their next staff meeting, to their next big staff meeting, which was in August. We may or may not still do this even after the class. So my clinical coordinator has to make sure that she's off so she can go out there with me. So we were given a 3-day window, but it rained pretty much every single day, so we were not allowed to actually do it on those days. But through a few emails and a phone call from my clinical coordinator, they allowed us to actually go out there on Father's Day. It was really hot, but we passed out quite a few flyers. So out of the 150 flyers that we printed out, we only had maybe 6 left, and it was a very, very busy Father's Day. We were out there for maybe 5 to 6 hours at the most. I actually lost track of time. I was out there with my daughter, and she was having fun out there with me as well. Walmart seemed different about us being there, so that's why we decided not to do Walmart. So Walmart appears to be a great community partner, as they always seem to have different organizations posted up out front, and I'm sure that if we wanted to go back and do something else, that Walmart would allow us to go out front. But they did seem indifferent. They did seem indifferent towards us, but that may be why, because, they just have so many people always asking to kind of set up out front. Community resource number 1, my clinical coordinator, preceptor, is a great community resource. She is part of the outreach team within the hospital I currently work for within Savannah, who has many offices and physicians up in the Rincon area. In fact, that is the one clinic that we actually have in Rincon is through the hospital. She's been a nurse for several years and has a passion to help people and to educate the community. While she works in the ER with me and does community outreach once or twice a week, she is constantly planning on the next outreach. She already had contacts with several of the major businesses in Rincon, which made it easy for me to set up outside of Kroger. And if we couldn't go to Kroger, she had contacts with other organizations. Community resource number 2, Effingham County has a public health department which offers educational classes and material for those who are seeking that type of thing. the public health department there offers women's services, vaccines, children's health, and public health issues, to only name a few. They are actually they are easily accessible. Just one simple email out to them got me tons of information within 24 hours. And they gave me a phone number to call if I had any more questions. They seem really motivated to help the community out. Community health diagnosis. So the community of Rincon is at risk for death related to chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases among the residents of Effingham County related to smoking, a lack of education on smoking cessation, lack of motivation, and easy access to smoking products. My proposed intervention was, as I stated previously, was to get a booth and set up outside Kroger, and offer educational handouts and discuss with residents on the benefits of smoking cessation. This will best be done a day where more residents are coming in to shop for groceries. Saturdays and Sundays are usually the two busiest days, according to the manager at Kroger's. If I had more time, another intervention would be to speak with local government and devise a plan to decrease the sale of tobacco products within the community. The main objective I had was to get the word out on the dangers of smoking and even the dangers of vaping to young kids. So how do you evaluate something that you only had like a day or so to really even try to make an impact, where you only passed out 144 flyers to a community of over 10,000? Seems like that would be very hard to really tell whether you made an impact off just, off of giving out flyers to about less than 1% of the actual community itself. But one of the best indicators, if you could do this type of education for a minimum of 6 months to 1 year, would be to follow up on the data to see if the incidence of smoking-related deaths had decreased or smoking-related illnesses had decreased. So another method, which might be more indicative of the effectiveness, is to contact local governments that deals with taxes and inquire if the sale of tobacco-related products has decreased or increased. This would mean people were starting to become aware of the risk. You could also reach out to local pharmacies without violating HIPAA and see if they can give you the number of smoking cessation medications, to see if the number of smoking cessation medications has increased as well. That would also be a good indicator that smoking has this had an impact because people are wishing to quit smoking. In summary, as we all know, smoking is bad and the major contributor to most diseases today. It is the number one preventable cause of disease there is. If you do not smoke, you'll be less likely to become a victim to many types of cancers and lung disease. Education, education, education. I can't stress that enough. It is the most important thing that can be done to reach people. The more education, the better the community. And thank you for your time. And I've enjoyed taking the class with you guys, and I wish you all the best.